Welcome to Afterthoughts with Erica. My name is Erica O'Meara, and as I begin my journey to becoming an end-of-life doula, I'm challenging myself to talk to 100 people about death, dying, and what comes next. Join me as we explore these stories and work together to make the topic of death less uncomfortable, one conversation at a time. Afterthoughts with Erica is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. The opinions expressed are solely of the speakers and do not represent legal, medical, or financial advice. This series does not supersede any written last will and testament, legal documents, or directives. Please note that this series may contain adult subject matter and with strong language. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming back to Afterthoughts with Erica. Today, I am joined by Renee. She is a mother of 4, a grandmother of 10. She's a fellow massage therapist, and she's currently the vice president of sales at the Pressure Positive Company, which I will say, Renee, I'm constantly telling my clients to get back knobbers.
Yay, thank you for that.
It's a great self-care tool. It really is. So thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. A fellow graduate of the Academy of Massage and Bodyworks in Pottstown. So I love that. You ready to get started, Renee?
Sure. Let's dive in.
All right, let's have fun. The first one is always the sort of hardest one to get over with. Are you afraid of death?
Not death per se. I don't think. I certainly love life, but the way I die, has a certain amount of fear for me. So I've always had this fear of drowning, although I love swimming. And there's 1,000 ways to die, right? And not many of them are wonderful, but I do have my ideal, thoughts about how to go, but I hope my chances are better, for that way rather than some awful way.
Yeah, but the concept isn't.
Yeah, the concept, no, I don't think so. I've been thinking about death since I was like a child almost. And it wasn't that I was presented with death so much, but I was aware of it. And I want to say that I'm not afraid of it. From where I stand right now, I don't think I'm afraid of it.
Great. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah.
Is there a death in your past that profoundly changed the way you view death and dying?
Absolutely. Right before the pandemic, a dear friend of mine passed away suddenly. Yeah, I she was sick. I knew she had cancer, but I don't know that she knew how serious it was, and it just seemed like it came so fast. And I wasn't prepared for it. She was a professional friend, and I was making plans, to continue a professional relationship with her and grow my business, and it really hit me hard, you know.
Yeah.
And that's just the most recent one that I can, think about that um, really got me hard. But certainly family members that um, we've lost to suicide, death by suicide, and that hits in a completely different way than a death by cancer or a tragedy by some unimaginable factor.
Absolutely. It
Yeah.
is. That's a totally different scenario. I agree.
And the friend that passed away, my professional friend, um, chose hospice, in the end, and so she died at home, which is my ideal way to go. You know,
Yeah.
surrounded by friends and whatnot. I mean, she was in kind of a morphine coma, but she still got to be in her home, you know,
Sure.
and she kind of got to orchestrate how that was going to look like before she got bad. And, that was really brave.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that morphine um helped. you know?
It did help. And I didn't know that she was in so much pain. So that, you know, was a blessing, but it was still hard to see. So
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. But you're lucky, you got to say goodbye.
I'm so lucky. I feel honored to be included in those moments.
It is an honor. You're right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, do you believe in an afterlife?
It's some kind of afterlife. Not, I don't think it's going to look like this one, but I do believe in something after, what we know as this life for sure. Um, I can't even put it into words. And I've had exposure, to Christian, church doctrines and things like that. But I was raised as a Unitarian Universalist, so I do believe in the web of life. And I even approached, what I learned in Christianity with a Unitarian viewpoint. So I try not to have any preconceived notions about what it's going to look like. It's just, I think it's going to be amazing, but I don't know what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, none of us know, do we? We can
Right.
only have our thoughts and theories.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So we touched on this a little bit. If you could have an ideal death, what would that look like?
Oh my gosh. Well, hopefully it'll be after a long life, and I just wind down and get tired, and go to sleep and, wake up dead, without pain or suffering, It would be great if I could have a chance to say goodbye before I go, you know, um,
Absolutely.
properly, you know, without it being dramatic and whatnot, and peaceful and with the blessing of my children. So, yeah.
Yes, wouldn't that be beautiful?
Yep. Hopefully yeah, yeah, that would be beautiful for sure.
Um, if you could bring something with you in death, what do you think it would be?
Mm, I I think um it would have to be feelings of gratitude, or feelings of love, not a thing so much, but um emotions, those emotions.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
absolutely. You know what's funny? It's not the first time somebody said that.
Oh,
It is. A
yeah.
lot of people have been saying more intrinsic things that they could bring with
Hmm.
them.
Hmm.
And it's actually something I didn't think about that as an answer when I was writing these questions. So it's been really interesting to see how everybody is sort of connected in that way.
Hmm.
Um,
I mean, I will miss things. To think about not having the things that bring me joy right now, um, is kind of sad. So, that feeling of joy, you know, I'd like to hang on to that.
wouldn't that be nice to be able to
Yeah,
hang on to that eternally? That
yeah,
would be wonderful.
yeah, yeah.
Great. Um, so if you were to have a funeral, how would you want that to go?
Oh my gosh, I've been to a lot of funerals lately in the last 4 years. You know what I mean? I definitely know what I don't want. you know, no slam on anybody, but I think inside in a funeral home, inside a church, and that is probably not going to be my jam. I'm gonna opt for, if I can, an outside funeral in the forest where my ashes can be, commingled with the mushrooms, and the trees. That would be my ideal thing, an outdoor setting, you know.
Yeah, and fertilize the earth.
Fertilize the earth, right? You can turn yourself into a tree, I think.
You
Right?
can.
There's some
You
places
can
where
turn your ashes
you can
into
compost
stones.
yourself.
There's so
There's
many different ways. Yeah.
right,
That's
right.
actually one of the things that I'm going to be, taking with me is all of the different ways that, we can have our our bodies
Our
process
remains
after
process. Yeah.
death to give people options.
Right, right. And I know that's not available everywhere, but um, like, yeah. And I have plans for this, this carcass, too. And that's another question, I guess. But yeah, well, when the time comes to memorialize me, I hope it'll be outside and, you know, and just dust to dust.
Sort of like a whimsical fairy forest.
Yeah, yeah. Just outside on a day like today, what it looks like behind
Oh
you,
my gosh, isn't it
you know,
gorgeous? It's
it's
absolutely
so
gorgeous
pretty.
today.
Yeah,
I've moved my office outside.
well, that's good. That's good. It's better for your soul.
Um, so this one's sort of a fun one, and I've really been enjoying everybody's responses to this one. If you could curate a playlist for your funeral, what are some of the songs that would be on it?
Well, I thought about this, and I have a problem, and that is that I well, first, I love music. I listen to it all the time, and my husband plays music all the time, but I can't recall lyrics or song titles to save my life. When it comes on, I know the lyrics are in there, and I know the song, but got a complete blank. So my husband would have to help me,
That's
curate
great
a
though.
playlist.
What a great opportunity to connect and help each other. Plan that. That's such an intimate kind of thing is to listen to
He has
music and
he
that's
has
the one.
tons of music, and we listen to it all the time. And I definitely have my favorites, but I'm in a complete panic now because I think I have like a mental block when it comes to song lyrics and whatnot. You know, um, Definitely don't walk away, Renee, because I do have a sense of irony, and I think that'll be funny. Um, Maybe Landslide by Fleetwood Mac. Um, I wrote one other one down. Oh, it'd have to be Amazing Grace. Used to sing that to my kids all the time. But
Aw, well,
it'll be
that's
some.
wonderful.
It'll be a mix. It'll be a mix of
Yeah,
for sure.
I do like how songs sort of tie periods of life together. So,
Hmm.
you said you were singing Amazing Grace to your children when they were little, and then to
Hmm.
hear it after you pass, hopefully it would bring up those happy emotions,
For sure.
those comfort
Right.
emotions
Right. And
for your
I know I
children.
have other songs like that too in my playlist that'll happen someday. But
Well, it's
yeah,
something you're just going to have to put on your calendar with your husband
I'm
and
gonna
go
work
through the
on it.
list.
I'm gonna work on it. Yeah. Uh,
Um, what what do you want done with your body after you die?
yeah. Well, so I made the decision to donate my body to science, to the Human Gift Registry, that's based out of Philadelphia. And and it's a pretty simple process. If you want to do that, you just download their forms, fill them out, send them in, and keep all that stuff with your important documents. And I don't know if you're familiar with it, but um, you just got to get your body to a refrigerator, you know, whether that's at a hospital morgue or a local funeral parlor, and they make the call for you, and then somebody comes, and grabs you up, and depending on where you pass in the state of Pennsylvania, you go to either Philly or Pittsburgh, and you become um, a cadaver, for 2 years, to help medical students understand the human body. And then you're cremated, and your ashes either come back to your family as per your wishes, or you go into sort of like a common memorial area in Philly, and they have a service every year, once a year, for everybody that's donated their body. So it's costs $100, and it's a low cost way to, make sure that you do good after you're gone. And I'm an organ donor anyway. My kids aren't all sold on this idea, you know. So we're going to talk about it some more, but the way it stands now, that's what I'd like to do. Yeah.
Well, I think that that is a wonderful idea. Both of my grandparents donated their bodies to science,
Okay.
and my father, I think, is also planning on doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
One, because it doesn't cost anything, if much.
Yeah.
Depending on where you live, sometimes it's free.
Yeah.
Um, and I understand where your kids would be coming from.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, but like I've spoken to my dad about it, and we both agree that this vessel that we're in is not us. It's just the
Mm-hmm.
flesh of
Mm-hmm.
us. And
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, he, I guess for him, he's not he has to think about like the remains because he doesn't want us to
Remember
ruminate on
him
them,
that way. Yeah. Right.
you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Um, so I think on the one hand, it's understanding somebody's wish
Mm-hmm.
and coming to terms with it, but
Mm-hmm.
also coming to terms with what you believe,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what our bodies really are.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think donating your body to science is commendable. Um, I used to work in the medical um, device
Mm-hmm.
field.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I've seen those body parts come
Mm-hmm.
in for
Mm-hmm.
people to learn, and it's life-saving stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it really is.
Yeah, I feel pretty strongly about it. I told my daughter, she said, well, I just want a piece of you after you're gone. And I said, well, you will be getting that, you'll get it back, and you
And
can,
there's so much you can do with ashes these days.
yeah, yeah. I
You can
said,
make a
and
little gem out of them. You can do
yeah,
a lot with ashes.
yeah, I said, you'll be getting it back. And, after a couple of years, you'll be better able to deal with my ashes anyway. So we can talk more about it, but maybe you just have to adjust to, what I would
Well,
like.
hopefully she has a really, really long time to think about
Yeah, exactly. That's how we ended the conversation.
it.
Yeah.
So this is the silly question.
Hmm.
If you could haunt somebody after death, who would it be? And we preface this with you can be a nice haunter or a naughty haunter. It's totally up
Hmm.
to you.
Hmm.
And it
Hmm.
doesn't have to be anybody like close to you. It could be Ryan Reynolds. It could be whoever you want. So we're having fun with this one.
Yeah. Well, oh gosh. Well, if I was going to be really naughty, I'd come back and haunt my ex-husband. I mean, if we wanted to be truthful about it, I would come back and you know, antagonize him a little bit.
Be a little mischievous.
Somehow, yeah.
I
Um,
say mine was like remove a battery from something, and like push it off
oh,
the table so they can't find it.
to be like mischievous somehow.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I've had a couple, sort of paranormal experiences in my life. They were not scary, so when I think of haunting, I think of, something a little frightening, like, going down to the insane asylum at,
Yeah,
Halloween
and
and
you hear
in
like
the hallways.
chains
Yeah,
rattling.
yeah.
Yeah,
So no, it wasn't like that. It was just like restless spirits. They were not directed at me. They were, just kind of in
sharing the same space.
purgatory. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Um, but if I could come back and reassure somebody, that's a good way to haunt somebody, is to, come
absolutely.
back
A
and
nice
reassure
haunting.
them. So yeah, so I guess
So you
you
got a
a
little
good
naughty
trip
and a
out.
little nice.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But I don't want to feed into, mean
No,
haunting
no,
or anything like that. But I'd give them a good one for sure.
It's all in good fun. And what's he going to do about it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
So our last question is, what would you want people to remember you for after you pass?
well, I love to garden, so I try to leave a garden everywhere I am. I have moved so much. I've moved 19 times in my life, and as an adult, I left a garden everywhere I was. And so I would love, to be remembered as a gardener. Um, mm, I'd love to be remembered as someone who listened, you know, um, enjoyed the outdoors, was loyal, loved her children, um, was a good massage therapist.
That's of the utmost importance.
Right, right. Um, yeah, yeah. Mostly, I'd love to be able to, I love to plant trees, so I would love to be remembered, through trees for sure.
Oh, that's so nice. I think the thought of leaving gardens is um, beautiful. It just shows your nurturing side. You
Mm,
know, you can't have a
mm.
garden if you're not a nurturing person.
I
It's
spent
just,
all day weeding today, so I was very destructive. So there's
but
that
that's
part of it
nurturing,
too.
you know. The
I
weeds don't need nurturing.
know. Yeah, yeah. Well, gardening is a great metaphor for life, in my opinion. And you know, uh, not
In what way do you see that?
well, you see the cycle, certainly the birth and death cycle, every season, really. And and there are different stages in life, just like there are seasons, and there's time for blooming, and you know, um, oh, that's a song by Judy Collins, Turn, Turn, Turn.
That's I saw her sing that.
You did, you did.
Yeah.
Nice. Um,
I love the idea of the garden. And it's
yeah,
patience too, you know.
yep.
You
And
have to
just
be a patient person to garden.
right. It's not instantaneous. It's certainly frustrating. Dealt with dealing with frustrations, in gardening and farming is, yeah, definitely teaches you patience and, the long game, to be in it for the long game and to
Yeah,
not get caught up in things that don't matter from 5 seconds from now, 5 minutes from now, you know.
just the here and now.
Yeah, yeah. And like I just spent the last 2 hours outside gardening. That's why I'm a little red in the face. And oh, I hate it and I love it at the same time. Oh, so there's a great, duality, that you can work out in the garden as well. It's possible to have two opposite things happening at the same time.
And that is life also.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you for answering the questions. I really
mhm.
appreciate it. And I hope that your kids can, watch this when it gets online, and maybe you guys can have that conversation again eventually about, you know, your wishes. And
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's very important what you're doing. So,
oh,
um,
thank you.
yeah, I wish you lots of success and it's brave, you know?
Thank you. I
Yeah.
think just starting out on this journey, my goal for the next couple of years is just talking
Yeah.
about it
Yeah.
and not even educating, just
Right.
talking, you
Right.
know,
Right.
and
Right.
having fun with it, for goodness sake. We have to have fun with it.
Yeah, you have to see both sides of it, right? And so I'm sharing this with, other friends who I feel have something to contribute, to your conversation. And
Oh, thank you.
yeah.
I think your mom signed up for,
Did she really?
I think she did.
Oh, well, that's
I
interesting.
I think it was your mom. I know somebody mentioned your name.
Oh, well, okay, yeah.
So we'll have to see.
If it's my mom, I'm gonna go pat her on the back. So
Well, I
yeah,
hope I get to talk to her then.
yeah.
Um, but thank you again, and um, I hope you
Best
have a
of luck
wonderful
to
day.
you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Okay. Bye,
Bye
Erin.
bye. If you haven't answered the 10 questions yet, please consider signing up to be part of this important conversation. Let's continue breaking the silence together. See you next time.